And now we're going to move on to Remnant from the Ashes, which Derrick has been playing. This is... It's being billed as like a multiplayer Dark Souls with guns, a co-op Dark Souls with guns. And it's kind of... I feel like it's kind of taken some people by surprise. This is a game by Gunfire Games, which is the people that are now in charge of the Darksiders franchise. They are some carryovers from Vigil Games, the original developers of Darksiders, and Darksiders 3 was their first full game released, and they are also working on the that Diablo style Darksiders game, which I don't remember the full name of. Darksiders Genesis or something like that. And they also have this, which is a very different game. Big departure from Darksiders. Derrick, do you want to run down what you're doing in this game and what makes it so special?
Okay, so Remnant from the Ashes, it's a post-apocalyptic world. When it's actually based on Earth, so it's got all these fantasy elements to it, but it's taking place on Earth. It was taken over by demonic forces that, in the beginning, you know it as the Root.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's got some story to it, but a lot of it's in like what you're doing and going through and exploring and reading notes. Like a lot of stuff I learned about it, I learned about when I went back to actually look up some things or read a little bit more on it, because I wasn't really paying too much attention to it, because the shining part is like the gameplay mechanics, the shine that they give the game for just like little like if you go and like jump over something, you kind of do like a back roll over it or like your animations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of like it's loosely a Dark Souls, Bloodborne kind of clone,
Mm-hmm.
but it's shooter based and more build based than those two. Where in like Darksiders and Bloodborne, it would be like primarily like stat based and like what weapons and items you're using, into where this game it's more of what traits are you picking, like what perks does your character have, what bonuses do you have versus just like a raw stats.
Okay.
That's how you kind of build your character. You get a couple armor pieces. I think you have three main armor pieces, two rings, and a necklace.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can hold two gun weapons, and then you have a melee weapon.
Okay.
And
So you're talking about like the way the story is told. Is there much of a setup, or is it all kind of in these notes and stuff?
it gives you a bit of a setup. Like once you like launch into it, like you're playing as your character, and you're kind of running from these enemies, and then you kind of get like downed, and then somebody comes and rescues you, and that brings you in, and it tells you like um, you feel like this need to go to this tree, and then you start finding out about like people like the founder who was like the first one of the first remnants to start fighting back
Mm-hmm.
against it, and then you meet the root mother, which is like first person like kind of like mixed and possessed with the root,
Okay.
and then she like actually wants to help you, because it's like it's got this like weird mix of you're trying to fight the root, but at the same time you're trying to like understand and learn from it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now I also heard that like some of the another connection to Dark Souls is like there's on the items and stuff there are little messages and stuff like lore explanations. Is that, am I picking up that right? Or
Yeah, there's a little bit. I haven't looked too much into that because we've
mm-hmm.
been like really just like playing through and trying to get like into the deep of it and figure out really how the game works.
Yeah,
Um,
because
so
that's a
like
big way, the way that the Soulsborne tell their story is actually through item
yeah,
descriptions, as opposed to actually showing it to you in like a cutscene or something like that.
Yeah, so this has like there's like some characters out there you interact with. There was like a tree we interacted with. They have like lore books and stuff laying around, and like one of the cool things about like with the actually having the lore book there is instead of just like picking up the book and it like popping up something on the screen, it does that, but at the same time like the book opens up and as you're reading through, like you can see like the pages flipping over and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But yeah, as far as stuff being on the weapons, I'll have to look into that because I know they give like real like vague details, and then you've actually got to like toggle on like to see the advance and like full stats and what everything actually gives to you. So you're really not looking at that like too much unless you're like hardcore trying to figure out what you're putting together.
Mm-hmm. So it's a third person shooter. Uh, how does it feel as a third person shooter? Does it feel good or?
Yeah, it for its price point and kind of like coming out of like nowhere-ish. Um, It plays very well. It was actually super surprising. Um, I had gotten it for my buddy for his birthday because he's kind of into those games, and even he was like blown away by it. He's kind of like picky on like what he plays.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it plays really nice. Like the reloading, the animations, being able to dodge out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, your ammo is like limited based on the guns, but it's not like overbearing, and you can get like different items. Like you can get an ammo box that'll give you ammo. You can get a little health buff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some other like nice like quality of life things they did was you can equip a mod to your weapons, and depending on the type of mod, it changes how your weapon looks. Like I got
Okay.
this one that was kind of like a roots type thing. It'll allow you to shoot out something that'll attract enemies, but it'll kind of like once you put that onto your gun, instead of just looking like the normal shotgun, it then gets like wrapped in roots and vines and stuff like that.
Okay. Cool.
Um, Another thing too is it is like a lot of because a lot of people have been talking about difficulty. Um, it definitely is pretty challenging by yourself. Um, can it be done solo? Yeah, but you'll do a lot more going back and like grinding through these levels, trying to level yourself up and like really learning how the enemies are. But as soon as you get a group and start going through it, it flows like a lot better.
Cool. So how's it like? What's the structure of it? Do you have like a hub and then you're going into levels, or is it like a big open world, or what is it? Is it very linear?
No, you have a hub world, and then from there you kind of load into these different areas.
Okay.
As you progress, you'll get like waystones, kind of equivalent to like bonfires, but
Mm-hmm.
there'll be like major ones that you can go to. So then, like once you go to this, you have a map, and as I was just checking through to see, there's actually four different worlds that world seeds that you could possibly get.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen three of them so far, but on the maps you'll have a chance for there'll be like little sewers, which are little dungeons, and then you'll have like maybe one or two of those will be hidden somewhere, and then you'll
Mm-hmm.
have another spot that'll be like a main boss or your main story area to go through. And the areas some are small and quick, others are like big and pretty open. They're like a lot of them right now that we've seen are city based in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's eventually go into like a wooded bog, marsh, swamp type area, and I'm not sure what the last one was because I think it was like three different biomes that you kind of went through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of the game is there's a lot of like secrets and hidden stuff. You'll depending on like dialogue choices too could unlock certain things. Like if you go and talk to somebody and you'll kind of get a couple choices to talk to them. Depending on like how you answer and do stuff is like how they'll interact with you, or if you'll get something at the end, and then like you'll progress on and you'll find something, and then you'll have to come back to another area and then do something else, and it'll unlock stuff. They've got like there's hidden rooms and secrets everywhere in this game.
Hmm.
Like
Cool.
it's pretty impressive. Like I said, for its price point too, it's just $40 game.
Yeah.
It's digital only, but it's been super impressive for being that.
All right, cool. Yeah, so you talked a little bit, you mentioned like the world seed thing. So, from what I understand, the way it works is when you start a game, you get a seed for your world, and it may be different than the seed that your friend gets. So, when you when you join their game, you're playing in their world, and you'll get things that you may not have in your world, and it'll be different level design with different secrets and maybe even different boss progressions and stuff like that. So it's worth it to like go back and forth between your two games and even start over another game to hopefully get a different world so you see different parts of the game.
Yeah,
Um,
and like with that, it kind of threw me off in the beginning when we started to play because like the main quest line is still the same, but you're like I said, each of these four different world seeds are set up different for how you get to it. And I went into my buddy's playthrough and we were playing through. We did a couple missions because we were at the same spot. You know, we started a game together. And I came back to mine and I was back at the beginning.
mhm.
But what we've come to find out with these secrets is, like you were just talking about, how things are different set up. We got this tree that we could talk to that when we did a certain thing for it and brought this item back to it, it unlocked a trait that we could start upgrading now. To whereas in my playthrough, when I get up to that point of the game in that similar area, as far as like judging it distance wise to the next objective,
Mhm.
um, I don't have that there.
Right.
And then we've hopped into my brother's game, who just happens to have another one of the seeds. So there's only like one that we haven't seen yet. And he's actually got like a completely different NPC set up there where we can do certain stuff with that. And each of our beginning bosses have been different. I think in total we've faced three or four of the mini bosses that have been different, and then we fought one world boss.
Huh. Yeah, so that's an interesting way to kind of encourage, multiplayer and stuff like that, because you bring that whatever you get from your play sessions back to your
Yeah, so like
personal game, right?
so your character progression is like its own thing. That's saved wherever you're at. Whatever you're doing in anybody's playthrough, whatever items, stats, levels you get, that
Mm-hmm.
stays together. But then your progression in areas are all something completely separate.
Cool. So would you recommend this to somebody who would be only playing it single player or not?
Um, it
Kind of like,
depend what kind
yeah.
of gamer the person is. Would I recommend it? Yes, because it's like I said, it's been kind of like mind blowing for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of going into it not expecting so much, and then just having all this little stuff that's been like, I think like every time we've turned around and ran into something different, we're like, whoa, this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, this is cool. If you're the type of gamer that can like, you want to take the time to grind up, yeah, you can do this game solo. I've seen a lot of the videos on it. A lot of the bosses can be done. It's just like Dark Souls. A lot of it's learning. The game can be played solo.
Mm-hmm.
Is the multiplayer part nice and make it easier? Yeah, it definitely does. But even with that, even you don't have to have like the full three people. You could get one other person, and then you two could just go on, and that would make it that much easier. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're gonna play generally solo, it's gonna be a little bit harder. But it would definitely be worth it and rewarding, especially like once you do these things and the amount of choices and replayability it has. Because like just the world boss that we did,
Mm-hmm.
depending where you do the most damage to it, depends which boss weapon you get from him. You can
Okay.
attack its head, you can attack its heart, or you can try to shoot off its tail. And then each of those things gives a different thing. I think if you took off the tail, you get a sword. We went for the heart. It gave us like an automatic pistol called the Spitfire. And then if
Okay.
you attack the head, you got like a maul. So
Okay. And is there can you go back and fight that boss again to get a different
um,
thing?
if you go back into another playthrough and come
So you'd have to
across
start
this
a whole
boss
new playthrough.
again, so yeah, so that's like the point. If you jump in to help somebody else's game and you're going through and coming up to this, and you're like, okay, we can go, and now this time we already did the heart, so now we can focus on the head to get the hammer. It just
Okay.
depends when or where it's going to show up again.
Okay. And now I know you've been playing it with a set crew. Um, is there matchmaking?
Yeah, there is. On the default, it's set to friends only, but I
Yeah.
believe you can switch off that, and then it'll show you the games, and then it'll give you like little dots under the person's name, and that'll allow you to know, okay, he has one person with him, or there's two people with him,
Oh, okay.
um, to make the full group.
Okay. Can you have any idea based on what you've played, like how long this is?
Um, Off of what I've played now, we started Monday. We've put about 4 hours a day into it, and I have hardly scratched it.
Okay.
With the amount of secrets, I'd say it's at least you'd put at least a solid 40 into it
Okay.
minimum.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Because I mean, that's another thing with Dark Souls is those games are incredibly long.
Yeah, I'd say this one just with like just from the little bit that we've seen, and like I don't even think we're like super far in it, and just the amount of secrets we've come across and learned, like going back to look at things to try to find it, there was so much more we could have done. um, I'd say it's going to definitely be like a decent timed game as far
Okay.
as how much it offers time wise.
Cool. Well, that sounds like all good things. Is there anything, any negatives? Like anything you want to say that like you wish was different or isn't
um,
panning out?
I haven't really found too much negative on it. Like you'll see some things like every now and then there'll be some like flipping issues. Like you'll see your legs go through your cloak, just some normal like small minuscule stuff.
Oh,
But for like the core of it,
yeah.
I'd say it's come out pretty solid. I know with Xbox and PC they had to push some matchmaking updates to it because they
Mm-hmm.
were having problems with connectivity. But and then they had the issue with the PlayStation where we didn't get the early access to it.
Yeah, that was weird.
But
Was
then
there ever an explanation for that?
they never really figured out what happened or like publicly announced what happened. They just said there was an issue. It was out of everybody's reach for what happened.
Yeah.
But on the other side of that, they gave like everybody that's buying it on PlayStation's getting all the pre-order bonuses for free.
Oh, okay.
So even if you missed out and you pick up the game now, you'll get the couple bonuses.
Okay.
And
So they did a make good for it.
yeah, and like the weird part too was the PlayStation was the system that didn't have these issues that PC and Xbox had, where they were pushing these updates to the PC and Xbox to fix this issue.
Yeah.
But then once it launched on the 20th for PlayStation as well, they didn't have any forced updates to it for that issue. So it was kind of like it was a weird thing. So you're not really sure what exactly happened in the background.
Yeah, that was a strange thing that when you were talking about it and then you were refunded but then they charged you again, or did you ever get charged for it?
No, I never got charged again. And speaking of that, I just got a notification too saying that they were having like issues with people getting like double charged for stuff.
Oh, maybe somebody else got charged for you twice.
So it was like, hey, sorry, we know this happened. Refunds are coming.
Jeez.
If it doesn't happen within so many days, double check your accounts and stuff. But like everything's been good. I just, like I said, I got that and Metro, both of those refunded to my account. So,
That's weird.
eh.
Well, we won't tell anybody. All right. Is there anything you want to ask Derrick about Remnant Lee before we move on?
No, I was interested in it. I kind of fell off. I think the more I saw of it. I like the aesthetic of it. I like the look of it, but it reminded me a little bit too much of. It's not the first Dark Souls with guns game. There was one about 6 to 9 months ago called I think it was called Immortal Unchained,
Yeah.
and that put me off of that kind of ranged Dark Souls thing. So I don't know. It just kind of I dropped off it a little bit. I think, especially since it's coming up to kind of the broke months. I figured it was one I could skip.
Yeah, the broke months are definitely upon us.
They start next week.
Yeah, especially with Final Fantasy VIII popping up in there too.
What's that?
With Final Fantasy VIII popping out as soon as like no one thought it was going to be this soon that it came out.
Oh. Yeah, they had just announced that at E3, right?
Yeah, they announced that it was like in the works, but they had no date, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, it's coming out September 3rd, surprise. And it's been substantially upgraded, which was surprising that it's also only like $20 too. So like that wasn't too bad, but it was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, I was interested in. I'm interested more in Remnant now that it's come out and people are talking about it, what they're saying about it and stuff. I know I would mostly probably be playing it single player unless I opened it up to like public. Yeah, I don't know. I've been trying to find another multiplayer game that I can really get into. I'm trying out the Apex Legends solo mode, which is actually pretty good. I liked that game when it came out, but I don't like playing those games with somebody because I don't know what they're expecting, like performance-wise and like speed-wise and stuff like that.
Right. Trying to like learn it together as well was kind of hard because I know we played a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, we're trying to learn this, and then like the randomization of the stuff and like having the character class kind of was like.
Yeah, and like before you want to start playing in a squad or even like your friends or even with randoms, you kind of want to feel like you're going to be contributing. You're going to be decent at the game, and that was hard to do when you were just getting thrown into a random group and you didn't know who you're going to be playing with or whatever, or just learning the ropes. So it's weird that they didn't have a solo. Like when I got into PUBG for a little while, I played a lot of solo to get comfortable with the game. And then I would join up with friends or go into a matchmaking or something like that. Once I felt confident that I knew how to play the game, and that kind of turned me out of Apex. But now that they have this limited solo mode, I'm actually jumping back in and I'm having a better time with it because it's a really good game. It's like it has good shooting, it looks great. It's very user friendly as for a console battle royale goes. Like the UI and like being able to ping and the way that it just like handles inventory and everything like that is really smart. So yeah, I really wanted to get into it a little bit more than I could, but now this is rolling out, so hopefully they keep it because I kind of want to keep playing it.
Yeah, I hope they do too, because I wanna download that to check it out. Because I enjoyed the different stuff. Like when we were playing and checking out things, it had a lot of cool features that I'd like to actually like learn and like be able to like, okay, I'm playing solo. I'm not gonna matter if I'm getting down real fast because I'm trying to learn these different aspects of the game.
And you don't have to worry about the like reviving mechanic where you can actually pick up your friends.
Yeah, you can pick up the little like key card or whatever it was.
Yeah, and then call in a drop ship, and you don't have to worry about that because you're just playing solo. So yeah, I played a few matches last night and I had an okay time. I actually got quite a few kills, which is surprising. Thank you for joining us in this very special episode of Voxel Viewpoint. If you'd like to hear or see more, please consider subscribing to us on your favorite podcast app, subscribing to us on YouTube, or visiting voxelvoice.com, where all of our great content comes together in one place. Also check out the Voxel Voice Facebook group, where you can join in on the discussion with a great, like-minded community.